What is going on, everybody? I am the FDGURU, bringing to you guys a Wednesday NBA edition of my DFS podcast. We have 6 games on the main slate tonight, coming off of a, pretty solid night overall. The main slate hybrid did really well. We really just needed Anthony Edwards to come back in because the lineup was smashing at the time. He hurt his ankle before the end of the first half, and it looked like he was going to be done. But luckily, he came back for the second half and cooked. Can't say the same thing about Kyle Anderson, who was chalk on DraftKings, so that hurt us. Had him on the cash team as well. He came back out, I think, after hurting his hamstring, and then immediately got taken out of the game. So didn't fully avoid the Timberwolves injuries. Taylor Hendricks was a nice value piece. I had him on Prize Picks too, paired with the tacos. Josh Hart was on everything I had. He cooked. With no Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. That was an easy play in my opinion. And Miles McBride with no Jalen Brunson as well was an easy play. The after hours that you got through my dub club, easily cashed as well. That could have taken things down if we got, any sort of a, productive game between Dylan Brooks and Murray, but it is what it is. It's still cooked. These last 4 guys all went off. So, and then the Discord had a great Taco Tuesday. I always pair 2 plays with each taco on Prize Picks in my Discord, and 2 out of the 3 tacos hit, which gave us a very profitable day. Hart just barely getting over, got lucky there, but I've been hooked on a half of a stat before, so it's nice to see it going the other way. Taylor Hendricks was a nice play at 13.5 points, rebounds. Jalen Johnson fantasy, Mike Conley under. It's going to be interesting to see what the Timberwolves do tonight on a back-to-back. We had Karl Anthony Towns out with a personal matter last night. With a personal thing, I would assume 24 hours later, there's a decent chance you get held out again because he could have been flying somewhere to attend, any personal matter. Kind of tough to play 24 hours later, in my opinion. We'll have to see. The Timberwolves have not released any sort of an injury report. Assuming Kyle Anderson's out tonight since he couldn't really play last night. Anthony Edwards, I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up on this injury report today because although he came back after hurting his ankle, it's a whole different story after the game when the adrenaline's done and, swelling occurs or whatever happened to his foot or ankle. Things could get worse within the next 24 hours, and they could keep it very, very easy with him, especially because they're at home against one of the worst teams in the league in the Memphis Grizzlies. So we're going to have to wait and see. We already have a circus injury report between the Pelicans game, or the Pelicans team. We'll talk about that. 5 plays in this video as usual. Like this video. Subscribe. We have PGA that I'll be posting today as well. The Cognizant Classic, formerly known as the Honda Classic. They changed their name. So excited for that. Pretty decent field this week. We'll have plenty of stuff. Probably going to post my FanDuel and DraftKings lineups on my website after this video. And then between bets and Prize Picks and all that stuff, I do a ton of extra golf content on my Dub Club. Get it for $1 through the link below this video. Let's talk for point guard. Emmanuel quickly at 7,100 looks good. This Mavericks and Raptors game looks like one of the best games on the slate. Really, the 2 first games on the slate look like the best. They have the highest over-unders. Both of them, the Pelicans at Indy and Dallas at Toronto, both of these 7:30 Eastern games have a 237.5 over-under. Another thing to note that it is 7:30 Eastern tonight, so we're getting a 30-minute later lock than usual. And then we have those 2 games for the after-hour slate, too. I'll probably be doing that as well again on my Dub Club. But quickly looks good at 7,100. He was previously 6,800. He's gone up a little bit, but he's going to play 32 to 36 minutes, and he's been right around a fantasy point per minute guy with mid-40s upside. So he looks pretty good at point guard, shooting guard tonight. He was very popular last slate against the Pacers. People will be looking his way again tonight. Again, these first two games are the two best games on this slate. So we're going to want to get some exposure to the Raptors. And Emmanuel quickly looks like one of the better plays on the Raptors. Another thing to mention here is Jakob Poeltl is questionable for the Raptors tonight, although there was an update this morning that he went through shoot-around. So, that gives his chances of playing a little bit better than not, but you never know. It is the first game on the slate, so we'll know. Speaking of first games on the slate, thank God the Pelicans are one of the first games on the slate because I haven't refreshed FanDuel since the news came out, but Brandon Ingram is questionable, CJ McCollum questionable, and Zion is questionable. So we have no idea what to do here. It's an unbelievable matchup against the Pacers. We're going to want to get exposure to these Pelicans one way or the other. If one of the three, Zion, CJ, and Ingram are out, we're obviously going to want to play the other two guys. If two of the three are out, we're going to obviously play that third guy who's playing, along with a lot of extra value on the Pelicans. Very tough to project out, so I'm leaving them out of this video, but just know the Pelicans are going to end up being a very valuable team in terms of DFS tonight after we get that news. Again, it is the first game on the slate, so I can't bitch too much, but I do love bitching about the injury reports because they are a joke. If this Pelicans team was playing at like 9 o'clock tonight, this main slate would be an absolute disaster. So I guess we'll take small victories when we can get them. Shooting guard, very, very easy play. Norman Powell going to be starting. Paul George has been ruled out tonight. Thank God we got that news because that's a 10 o'clock Eastern game. He could have easily just been questionable going into this game, just like bum-ass LeBron. I call him a bum-ass just because of the injury report. He's very annoying with his questionable tag. Obviously, he's one of the GOATs, but his bum-ass on the injury report is just questionable all the time, and it's very frustrating. We can assume he's going to play, I guess. Paul George, though, being ruled out is huge. We know Norman Powell is going to start. He started last time. Last game, Paul George was out against the Kings, played 37 minutes. We can project him for anywhere from 30 to 37 minutes tonight as a starter. Can play small forward and shooting guard. 4,800, needs 24 fantasy points to hit value. He looks like, as of right now at 1:45 in the afternoon, he looks like the best play overall on this slate as a starter for the Clippers. Small forward, we're going to go back to the Raptors. It's a very similar play as Emmanuel Quickly, and that's R.J. Barrett. These are the, two guys that we want to look at. Scotty Barnes, obviously their best player, but he's now 9,500 after that huge 65-point game. He's always going to be a nice GPP play because of his, high risk, high reward type play at 9,500. So if you ever have the extra money and you're like, hey, Scotty Barnes fits well into my lineup, go for it. I'm never going to say not to do that. But R.J. Barrett at 7,200, $100 more than Quickly. These look like some good plays from the Raptors in the low 7,000s. The Mavericks are on the second end of a back-to-back, so they should be a little bit tired. They had a brutal loss last night to the Cavs. Max Strus had a Tracy McGrady type ending to the game. I don't know if you guys remember when McGrady put up like 7 or 9 points in like 40 seconds or whatever that was. Not quite to that level, but Strus hit like 5 threes in the last 4 minutes, and then he hits a game-winning half-court shot against the Mavericks. What a just deflating defeat for the Mavs. They're still 3-point favorites tonight on a back-to-back in Toronto. I sneaky like the Raptors here in this game. I would have thought the Raptors would have been maybe favorited just because the Mavericks are coming off of a brutal loss and it's a back-to-back. The Mavericks are a better team, but in this scenario, I do like the Raptors. Nonetheless, I do like this game environment for DFS. Like I said, these first two games on the slate are the best games at 237.5 over-under. RJ Barrett looks pretty good. Now, he's not like a must-play. if you get like a Brandon Ingram playing tonight without CJ McCollum, like we're going to want to look at Brandon Ingram. And I mean, if we get like Ingram and McCollum out, we're going to want to look at like Herbert Jones, Trey Murphy. So like there's a lot of Pelicans potential value guys that could be better plays at small forward. But as of right now, I do like RJ Barrett at 7,200. And then on the other side of this game, at power forward, I do like PJ Washington. Washington was the guy at the end of that game before the half-court shot. Luka found him on the baseline, and PJ Washington, I think, dunked, and he was hyped. Like, there was 2 seconds left. They were up 1, and there was a camera. I don't know if you ended up seeing this video. He's going down the court, like, all hyped up as he watches the half-court shot go in. I've never seen someone change emotions so fast. He was so pumped and then so defeated within a half a second. It was like lightning struck. It was very funny to look at. But in terms of tonight, PJ Washington at 5K, he started last night. Now, Derek Lively is back, and he's been starting over Daniel Gafford, rather. We saw PJ Washington start last night against the Cavs. Now, that was maybe matchup-based because the Cavs play Mobley and Jarrett Allen. I'm curious to see what happens here. If PJ Washington is in this starting lineup, again, this is the first game on the slate, so we'll know the starting lineup, which is big. If Washington's in the starting lineup tonight, he's going to look like a top-tier value play at 5K. Played 35 minutes last night in the start, 30 minutes in the last 2 games. He's been playing great minutes. Now, his fantasy production is extremely lopsided. Kind of has to rely on steals in blocks because he doesn't score a lot, but he looks all right at 5K. I mean, I don't know. If he's starting, he's going to look like one of the better value plays on this slate. There's not a ton of value. He's definitely worth a look at power forward and center. And then for center, not the best game environment tonight. The Bulls coming off of a very bad loss against the Pistons. You know they're going to want revenge here against the Cavs. Nikola Vucevic, though, is not the problem in Chicago. Basically everything else in Chicago is the problem. Vucevic's been playing just fine. 8,000. He gets 40 fantasy points like every game. He's a great cash game play tonight. You know what you're going to get from him, and that's something over 35 fantasy points. High floor, high upside. We see a 64 in here about 5 games ago. You know, again, it is a bad matchup against the Cavs. Cavs play slower. They have good defense. 216 over-under, so there's not going to be a ton of points in this game, but Vucevic is very reliable. You know, he scores 20 points and gets double-digit rebounds essentially every single game he plays. So Vucevic looks good. He doesn't look great. If things open up later on, so be it. But as of right now, Vucevic looks like a pretty good spend up at 8K. The one big negative here is the matchup. Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley are very tough. One of the best front courts in the NBA, arguably the best front court in the NBA. So Vucevic, he's going to have his hands full tonight, but he's one of the more consistent 8K players. So I like him at center, just because there's not a ton of value as of right now. Other injury news we want to wait on, De'Aaron Fox for the Kings at 9 o'clock is questionable. And again, that Timberwolves, I'm assuming things are going to come out for the Timberwolves just because there's a lot of question marks there. And then, you know, like I said in that late game, the LA game, Clippers and Lakers, LeBron is questionable, but probably going to play with Paul George out. So not a huge injury report kind of night tonight. But like this video, guys, subscribe. Let's have a big night tonight. Until next time, I am the FD Guru. Peace.